Who were you before you lost your wild self?
That's what we're helping you explore on the Tend Her Wild podcast.
Through questions and tools around how best to listen to your inner voice,
rewild ourselves, and live the most authentic life where we thrive instead of survive.
I'm Betsy.
And I'm Kate.
And we're so glad you've joined us for this episode.
Hello, Tend Her Wild podcast listeners. Today we are joined by a special guest that some of you may recognize, Carmen Serano, and I'm going to ask for your help with your last name.
Gingles.
Gingles. New married name, right?
Yes.
Carmen is an actor, trauma-informed life coach, and storyteller. Drawing from her own path of healing and transformation, she now helps others reclaim their wholeness. And her debut memoir, The Beauty Between the Breaks, blends raw storytelling, sacred healing practices, and collaborative art to illuminate the alchemy of pain into beauty. This forthcoming book, The Beauty Between the Breaks, is a non-linear memoir written in pieces, woven together with collaborations from artists and healers of color whose own backgrounds resonate with the alchemy of pain. We met, I was trying to think, it was at 2017, I believe, when we did our coaches training together. We did practice sessions with one another, and I immediately was drawn to you during that time. And so seeing you again is just a joy for me. I remember a little bit about sharing some of these, your experiences and during that time. And now to see you come full circle is just magical to watch. I also didn't know at the time you were an actress.
Yeah.
I think my boys were watching Breaking Bad and I said, "Oh my God, that's Carmen."
No way.
Yes.
That's how it happened.
Yes. So we are thrilled to have you here to share your healing journey and all the work that you've been doing since we last met.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super grateful to be here.
We're really excited to have this conversation. And we've been lucky enough to read some beautiful excerpts from this book that's coming out. When is it coming out, Carmen?
It's a while. I'm still working on it. I just had the audacity to go and present it and
beautiful
do reading in New York. I just thought I don't need to sit here and wait.
Yes.
I want to share this. I want to begin growing this kind of project as well, because it's not just a memoir for me. It's about connecting with others and through our shared pain,
Yeah. And I already told you before we started of the 3 different excerpts you sent us. I was like, oh, wow, we have some commonalities, and thank you for writing that. And so we're going to get into that as we move through this interview. But we start in the same place every time, which is asking our guest, and Kate and I have learned so much through this question. We had no idea when we started the podcast how powerful this question was, but we always ask our guest about their first decade of life, those first 10 years. What happened? What were some of the main memories? Because what we've learned is that there's always a through line to how you've lived your life and where you're at now and the story you're going to tell us today. So let us know about that first decade.
No one's ever asked me that.
We hear that a lot.
We do hear that a lot from people.
Wow. So to think about the first 10 years, just all of these things come flooding in. They were the most challenging for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the pain started early, right? The pain came early.
Very early. It's interesting, like you ask that question, everything comes flooding, and it's not like I haven't worked through it. It's not like I haven't healed from it. It's funny, so many people think you're strong if you don't cry, if you don't feel. And I just feel it's the opposite,
Agreed.
Yes.
100% agree.
Yeah. Allowing it to flow through you and to feel it. And so much of my life has been stuffing it and powering through it. And so now I just feel this freedom, in being able to cry and feel for that little girl.
Yeah.
That really struggled, she really struggled. First 10 years, my parents were very young. My mother was very young. She was 16 when she got pregnant from me. And I didn't know this then, but the man she married was not my biological father. And my biological father is Black. She married a Mexican man, and they were both very young. He had heard rumors that I wasn't his. So the treatment was not the greatest. And then I had siblings, 2 younger sisters. Like I said, I was treated very differently. I looked different. There was a lot of identity stuff, early on. No one talked about my Blackness. I thought I was Mexican and white. My mother is Mexican and German, Irish, French. Blonde hair, green eyes. I looked nothing like my mother. I looked nothing like my father. I looked nothing like my sisters. I felt ugly. I was the black sheep. I was called the N-word a lot in school. I had been abused sexually by many people, neighbors, relatives, and I didn't know how to talk about those things, So there was a lot of stuff going on at home and also at school because I just didn't feel like I belonged. Yeah. I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere, not at school, not in a group, not at home. But, the challenges didn't stop at home. My parents, again, they were very young, so they were experimenting with drugs and partying. And so I saw a lot, a lot. And there were
exposed to a lot early on.
So much, so many secrets, so much heaviness.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of helps explain also why you've become a healer and a coach and why these things are so essential to you, because I think every person doing healing work has been wounded themselves or were not drawn to that course, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It has everything to do with it. And which is why I'm so grateful for it. Like there's pain attached to it, of course, but I'm so grateful for what I've been through because I don't feel like I could connect as much as I do with others if I hadn't,
Exactly.
I've had some really amazing things happen in my life. I just turned 52, August 18th. And I think about the life I've lived, like so much life in these 52 years. And, it's been like this. And I finally feel this balance now happening because of all this.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, it's such a beautiful thing to be here.
You're in that sweet midlife place of reflection. And
so wonderful.
I relate to that too, though. It's sort of like I've had so many emotional highs and lows in my life, and reaching this point, finding more of this mid space, and it feels like there's like an earning of it too. Like like an earning of the age and the experience and all that you've been through. Sort of, there's a new level of contentedness that comes, and it seems like you're experiencing that as well.
Yes, and unapologetically,
Unapologetically.
Yes.
I feel just like you said, the earning, because I don't, I was always such a people pleaser. I wanted people to like me so badly. And I was always so, open with my heart, like ripped open. Like, if you saw me, could you just see me? Please see me. Because people had such different perceptions of me. when we met than who I actually am. So I always did this tap dance, like, please see me, please see me. And it always was misinterpreted, always misread. She wants so much attention. Look at her. And it was so painful because I felt like I never was seen. And the work that I've done on myself is to see me. Once I saw myself, once I stopped chasing outside validation and went inward and gave myself what I needed, when I learned to love myself, it was the biggest shift I've ever felt, ever. And it was the most freedom.
When did that happen? I'm curious, how old?
It was fairly recently, if I'm being honest.
No, I understand that. Yeah.
About probably 7 years ago, when I really felt like I fully got it. And it was after a really terrible breakup, and it was really messy. And I thought, how did I get here? How did I get here? And I had done a lot of work up to that point, so much work, years and years with a therapist, all the stuff. I felt like, and then I thought, how did I get here? How did I end up here? And I realized that, it was me. I was in such desperate need of someone to love me that I settled. I saw all the red flags. I saw all the things, and I just wanted love. I just wanted love because I wasn't giving it to myself. And I realized that then, like, I needed to spend time with me. And it was the first time after a breakup that I didn't go outside of me to feel better.
You went in.
The song Cranes in the Sky by Solange. I don't know if you know it, but it's like, I tried to drink it away. I tried to sleep it away. I tried to sex it away. I tried to shop it away. I tried to, all of these things. And, I did all of those things before. And they didn't work.
Yeah.
And I sat in my pain for the first time ever. And that's a scary place to be for a lot of people, right?
It's the only way through, don't you think?
Yeah, through the fire.
But man, it is scary to sit with it. But it does move you through it.
God. Oh, yeah. God. It's just, you have to be brave enough to sit in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And sometimes that feels excruciating, Yeah. And you just got to get through it. But when you get through it and you get on the other side of it,
yes,
it is the most freedom.
It is.
So we talk about, you said, like, you've earned this. Like, yeah, I've been through that darkness. I've earned this.
Yes.
And to be able to sit in the contentment of where you are now and being very present, which I see your work out there in the world. I mean, you are very present in your life. That's reflected back. So, and I feel like that's something I'm really working toward too at this point in my life. You do get to a place where, working through all those big experiences and the pain and coming out on the other side, sitting in the beauty of that can be, sometimes it makes me really emotional because it feels, it is freedom. Freedom is the best word to describe it. Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah.
And there's space. Now there's space for you to do the work out in the world that you want to do.
I do want to go back though, because I love that we're talking about the freedom and the space, but I think we have to go back and talk about some of the rocky stuff, because I don't want to ever put the idea out there that it's easy to get to a spacious place of contentment. Because I know, Kate knows it's a lot of hard work, and you've been through a lot. So this is the first time I've met you. You talked about how you felt like you were ugly, you were rejected at home, you were rejected at school. And I'm looking at this like amazingly gorgeous woman, and I'm like, what?
I know.
That went on to become an actress. And so talk to us about that life, which I know you've sort of moved through and you're doing other things, but talk about needing to be a people pleaser and perfectionism and all the traps. And then having the external world say, we'll hire you, we'll pay you. Can you talk about that phase for us and how you survived?
Coming from where I came from, going into the field of acting, that's something that nobody, did. So even just that in itself was challenging. So how it even kind of came about was I was like 7 years old, and we always had people living with us at home. So there was somebody, my mom would take people in, and it was a really kind thing. I ended up doing the same thing, as I grew up, taking people in, whatever. And there was a young girl who was a family member of a family member, and she won something on the radio that was like, meet with a casting director or whatever. And my mom a ride. So I came along, and the casting director was interested in me. And so they said, what about her? I have this kind of ambiguous look, and so always have. And they wanted me to take pictures and whatnot. So my mom paid to have my photos taken. And I think I went on maybe one audition, and she never took me back. Like, they gave out all my pictures to family members, and, it was like they were into their own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, now looking back, I can see they tried in some areas, but there was no follow through. And that was something that stuck with me. Like, I liked it. I think I liked the attention, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
And being seen.
That makes sense, right? You weren't seen at home. Of course, someone sees you and says, we want her. That would feel good to anyone.
Whole photo shoot, it was like the highlight of my childhood, right? It was like this photographer followed me around, and I'm with my roller skates and, whatnot. And they're taking photos of me, like this, who I thought was this ugly little girl. And it was really the highlight for me. And nothing happened. And then I got pregnant when I was 16.
Like your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What was that?
Like your mother, right?
Yeah.
Same age. Yeah.
Same age. And another same, I didn't know who the father was. I got pregnant. I had a question in the beginning, like, what, could it be? And then, I talked only to my mom about it. And she said, no, it's this person. And then I did the same thing my mother did. I ended up being in a relationship with the one who wasn't the father. And that was something, it wasn't until like 3 years later that I saw the guy in a nightclub and realized my son looks just like him.
Hi, I'm Sam, founder of The Local Hub. When I moved to Iowa City, I felt like a tourist, and I'm sure you can relate if you've ever moved somewhere new or just haven't explored your city in years. Supporting local has never been more important, and The Local Hub makes it simple. It's a community-first way to uncover the local businesses, events, and hidden spots that make an area feel like home. If you're in the Iowa City area, you'll find us online, in print, and on social media, all designed to keep you in the loop about what's happening here. Visit thelocalhub-ic.com and start living like a local.
Back to how I ended up even acting is I got pregnant at 16. I thought it's over for me. I'm a walking statistic. I'm everything I wouldn't be. I was so disappointed in myself, so incredibly disappointed. And because I always knew I wanted something different. I always knew I was made for something different. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting, when I was like 12, I got involved in church because I felt like I needed to find something. There was something bigger out there. There was something bigger. And I knew, but I didn't know how to find it. And I would like go to churches with all my little friends and different churches, wherever. I didn't care. And my family was Catholic. So I joined catechism when I was like 12, and I enrolled my sisters. And then when I was 14, I enrolled my boyfriend, the one who ended up being with me and helping me to raise my son. And we all made our first communion and confirmations together when we were like 14 with all the 7-year-olds, like walking around and wearing our catechism gowns. And so I decided to have this baby. And during his delivery, there were complications. He was 11 pounds, 3 ounces at delivery, and got stuck and suffered from asphyxia. And by the time they got him out, he was dead, and they resuscitated him, but brain damage had already occurred. So my son has cerebral palsy, my oldest. And when he was probably 3, he was still walking with a walker, I just thought, he's the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. And I thought, I don't ever want him to feel limited like I did. I don't ever want him to feel like he's not beautiful and worthy and amazing. And I felt like, how can I do this? And here I was, 18, 19 years old. And I thought everywhere I took him, everybody was like, oh, he's so beautiful. He's so beautiful. And I had him in pageants really early on. Later, I didn't even do this for my girls. I just, for my son. And because I felt like it was important for him to see how beautiful he was.
You were trying to be seen. Yeah, you're trying to give him what you didn't get.
I was. And, it's interesting, again, the being seen. It was that thing. And that's how I thought that it would change things. Like if you were seen, if you were just seen, then you would feel worthy. And so I put him in pageants and all that stuff. And then I sent his pictures to a modeling agency. And here I am, 19 years old. And I walk him up. I'm carrying him, walking him up into this modeling agency, and the agent comes down and she says, hey. And I said, hi. And she goes, what is your name? And I said, Carmen. I said, I'm Mark's mom. You're meeting with my son. And she said, no, but what agency are you with? And then I said, huh? And she said, you're a model, right? And then I said, no, but I swear, just for thinking that, I thought I could die and have gone to heaven.
Again, you were seen.
And I felt like, oh my God, wow. And she said, come up. So she said, oh, he's beautiful. I want to sign him. And she said, but how about you? You should come back. You're so gorgeous. And, I really want our high fashion runway agent to see you. And I was like, oh no, I started doing all that stuff. My nose is broken. I have to, I'm not tall enough. And she said, stop, just come back. Just come back. And I went back, and they signed me. And the most wild thing for me, I thought that having my son was the thing that, ended that dream for me. And look how it came.
Your son opened the door for you.
You did.
He did. And not everybody was happy for me. The people who I grew up with were like, what a joke. My best friend said that, like, laughed, what a joke. And, and it wasn't an easy kind of thing for me to follow this thing that I really loved, but I did, I did. And and in a weird thing, you don't know this, Kate, but, after I had all my children and whatnot, this really bizarre thing happened. I moved to New Mexico with my ex-husband, who was an actor. So I ended up not being with Mark's dad after probably 4 or 5 years. And I ended up marrying another actor, and we moved to New Mexico because he was on a television show. And I got an agent there, and the agent asked me, do you model? And I was in my 30s, and I said, oh my God, no, I'm an actor, because the modeling agency had signed me, but I never did anything with the modeling. I ended up taking acting classes, and then I ended up going into acting. And that's always been easier for me because I can hide behind a character, right? It wasn't like me, my face, me. And so she asked me this, and she said, just stop. And she said, we're not in LA anymore. Because I said, I'm not a size 0. I'm not, blah, blah, blah. And she said, a jeweler saw your photo and they want you to be on their billboards for their jewelry campaign. The weirdest thing, the girl who felt so ugly, the girl who felt like she was never seen, there I was on billboards all over.
Isn't the universe hilarious?
Yes.
Hilarious. With the same broken nose, the same, kinky hair, whatever, it's the same girl. And, and I still didn't feel fully seen, because people didn't know me. Yeah. Now I was being judged, right?
You were the image. You were the image selling the ring.
Somebody else's.
Versus really seeing Carmen, the truth of her soul and who she is.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's been a ride, I tell you. It's been a ride.
So I have had a little bit of a front seat since we met because, social media and being able to kind of follow along with you and your journey. And you eventually found love a second time. And watching that.
You divorced the actor from New Mexico.
So the actor from he wasn't from New Mexico. We moved to New Mexico.
Okay.
That was an 18-year marriage.
18
years.
Marriage.
With someone who had diagnosed narcissistic personality disorder. And that was...
We've talked about that on this podcast. So
wow. I never knew what it was. I just knew that I was always trying to get back to that first thing, like there were so many highs and lows with, being in a relationship with someone who narcissistic personality disorder. There's so many like highs, and then you get dropped on your head and you just want that high again. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like drug addiction. It's like you're just chasing that high over and over. It's really an addiction. You just want them to love you. And for me, because of my upbringing, that's all I ever, right? And so I chased it for so long in my marriage. I wanted him to see me. I wanted him to love me. Again, all of those things were just a culmination of what I chased, what I wanted, what I hoped for, what I wished for, all of those things. And none of those things outside of me made me happy. None of those things actually made me feel whole and worthy and seen like it did when I did my own work, when I went inside. I was on billboards. I was on an Emmy Award-winning television show. I did film. I did modeling. All of those things that I thought weren't possible for someone like me. And all those things happened. I experienced all these miracles in my life, but what were they really worth? Right? Like all those
it didn't fill you up, it sounds like.
Or make you feel whole.
Not at all. Not at all. And it was challenging, it's like this two sides of one coin. It's like on the one side, it's like, wow, how miraculous, how beautiful. And then on the other side, it was like, oh, she thinks she's this. And, she thinks she's that, like all that, we're so conditioned to compete. Mm-hmm. We're so conditioned to tear each other down. you know, because it's like, why can't we be beautiful? And that empowers someone else to feel beautiful.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. It sounds like your upbringing, they didn't allow you. You were trying to climb out of the bucket and you were trying to, like
You
the crabs in the
pulled back
bucket,
down.
right? Like as soon as you got up, they're like, oh, we got to pull her down again. And so you weren't even able to even in some ways enjoy your own success because those closest to you wouldn't allow you in some ways.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was really hard.
I want to go back to kind of picking up from that moment. And you eventually left that marriage that was not healthy for you. And what can you just kind of briefly tell us, like the bridge for you that happened? I think it might have been about the time we met, and then you found love again.
My ex-husband, like I said, I was married to him for 18 years, and I had two beautiful daughters in that marriage. And so it's layered there too. I was sexually assaulted in New Mexico in 2010. And after the assault, things, you know, the life that I had held together, after I'd done that project, I moved to New Mexico. I began modeling. I was acting more. I was a big fish in a small pond there. So I got a lot more roles than I did in LA. My acting career was going great. And I owned 3 locations of a day spa. Everything was great. I was like, on the outside, everything was great. And another opportunity, I went to have a spa day at an upscale spa, casino spa, with some friends, and I was sexually assaulted on the massage table, and I froze. I became 12 again when my stepfather abused me, and I said the same prayer in my head: "Please, God, make it stop," over and over. I regressed and froze. I wasn't the woman who I thought I was. And after that happened, I wasn't super hard on myself because I knew what happened to me. Like, I knew that I regressed. I knew what that
Went into freeze. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it. I knew I froze. But I knew that I had to say something. I knew I needed to fight. I knew I needed to advocate for myself. And so because I thought if I didn't, it would happen to somebody else. What if that was my daughter in there? What if that had been, whoever else? So I fought for them, not for me. Or so I thought. And everything shifted for me.
Mm.
That assault was probably one of the best things. It broke me, completely broke me.
Yeah.
Wide open. I mean, wide open.
And Carmen, how old were you? Because I think these
I was in
breaking
my
open.
30s.
Yeah. These breaking opens happen in that midlife range.
I was in my 30s. I had, put all the pieces together and I felt like, okay, everything looked good. My life looked good on the outside. Everything was good. I felt like I was, kind of in my purpose, doing my thing, helping people. And I would share, and everything that I'd packed away, all my trauma packed neatly away, all came flooding out at once.
Yeah.
All at once. I mean,
how'd you put the pieces back together after that?
oh boy, it was the biggest challenge of my life. Because that's exactly how I felt. Like I was in pieces. I was shattered.
Yeah.
That's why I write my book in pieces.
Yeah.
It was like, just like this conversation. it's like all over in all these little pieces, right? It's, I went to the Rape Crisis Center and I began seeing a therapist, and I had never seen a therapist before. I had done all this work outside, like all these life education courses and things like that, but I had never, again, gone in, really in. I always knew my purpose was, to help others. So I focused on others, and helping to heal others. But I didn't realize how much healing I needed to do and how much attention I needed to give myself. And I started seeing this therapist, and I remember crying. Like I would burst into tears. I was having symptoms. I was diagnosed with having chronic PTSD. The nightmares began like 2 nights after the assault, and spinning, the room spinning and not being able to stop it. And, the nightmares of, now he's touching me, now my stepdad's touching me, and everybody's touching me at the same time. And everything came flooding back at once. And I didn't know what to do. And I couldn't function anymore.
Sure.
I always had this idea that, because I can do it, I'm strong. Look at all the things that have happened to me. And I would like share in this way. And I didn't understand why other people couldn't just pick themselves up and go. And then I knew.
Yeah. Because I think we can all do that for a while. We can pick ourselves up and hold it together until the event or the diagnosis or something happens that everything breaks loose, which was the assault for you. And then you had to deal with all the stuff that happened before the assault that hadn't been looked at. And so this was your dark night of the soul that you had to go through. Yeah.
And what that did, like I said, I sat there crying and in pieces, and then I would laugh. And I would apologize for crying. And the therapist said to me, there's no place for laughter in all of that pain. Why do you continue laughing? Why are you doing that? And I felt like, because I felt so ashamed, that shame that comes with feeling broken.
Yeah.
Feeling like you don't have it together because of the way we are brought up, the way we are conditioned, the way society says strong looks like, the way we feel like we need to be. I have to hold it together.
Yeah.
Right.
A businesswoman, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I have to hold it together. And I couldn't. I just couldn't. It was like, again, the biggest blessing truly of
was
my
that
life.
You couldn't hold it together.
Yeah.
Together. Can you believe it? Like that was the greatest blessing for me, that I couldn't do it. And it made me dig. It just made me dig. And it made me look at my marriage. It made me look at where I was. I had to look at everything. I realized that my marriage, it was unhealthy and it was toxic the entire time. And I didn't know because it resembled my childhood.
Sure.
It's familiar.
Yeah, it was very familiar. And familiarity brings a false sense of safety, right? It's what I knew. And I knew how to navigate that. And I asked for a divorce, and I left. I left New Mexico. I left my 6,000 square foot home that we had built. I left my businesses. I left everything. And I came back to LA to heal. And I got a little apartment, or I rented first a little house, and I just sat and cried a lot. And at this point, my son had met someone and was married. He got married at 20. And he said to me, I don't know what to do because I've never seen you like this. And I said, I don't know what you mean. He said, you always have it together for yourself and for everybody. And I don't know, like, I don't know you right now. And I said, you know, one of the therapists I saw helped me to see this because I thought you might feel this way. And they helped me to see it like you were a soldier at battle and you're fighting and fighting, but your body was wounded, very, very wounded. But you had to keep saving other people and bringing them out and bringing them out. And, you know, you just kept going, but your body was very, very wounded. And now that you're in a safe place, you can finally just allow those wounds to you can feel those wounds, and now you need to heal them. And I said, I've been wounded all my life, but I just kept going.
Yeah.
Just kept trying to help whoever I could along the way. And now I'm tired. I'm tired and I just need to heal. I need to rest and I need to heal. And that's what I did.
And it sounds like about 14 years, 15 years of healing, and from where you were then to where you are now.
Going back and forth in that. And yeah.
Takes time.
Yeah.
A lot of time and a lot of intention.
Yeah.
I said I made it my full-time job to heal. And not only have I healed me, but I've helped to heal a lineage of my generational trauma and my family. Like, my children don't ever have to feel the way I felt, you know?
Or your mother or her mother or her mother. Yeah, that's the lineage work.
Yeah. The writing about your mother, I don't know if you want to share a little bit, but just surrendering to her, what she was capable of, and kind of seeing that for what it was.
You know, I spent a lot of my life blaming my mother for a lot of the trauma that I experienced in my life. Because, you know, she used drugs and I didn't feel like she protected me. And when my stepfather had molested me, she stayed. And so we stayed. And, you know, it was like he went away to drug rehab, but he came back home and I was still in the home. And then it was, you know, looking at you makes me feel like looking at you, what he said was, looking at you is a constant reminder of what I did. And I hate you and I wish you were never born. And that was the house I stayed in. And I blamed my mother for it because when I told her what had happened, she yelled at me. She asked me first, what do you want us to do? And I said, I want us to leave. And she yelled, where do you expect us to go? And, you know, that I'm alone here kind of shift happened, you know, right at that time. Like, I'm on my own in this life. And I was 12. And so I blamed my mother for my pain. I blamed her for my suffering. I was very angry with her. She never fully, you know, back then apologized or took responsibility. Like, she would say, I did the best I could. And that wasn't enough for me because then, you know, I had become a mother and I held her to, you know, like, okay, I had a shitty childhood. You know, I had these things happen to me. Like, you don't have an excuse for the rest of your life, you know, like you have to pull it together somehow. And I did a psilocybin journey. I took 5 grams of psilocybin mushrooms.
Which is a lot, by the way. It's called a heroic dose.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I sat on the beach and things started opening up for me. And I began hearing things and seeing things. And I heard my grandmother's voice so clearly. And but she spoke to me in English, which she didn't before. But she said to me, stop looking to her to be your mother. I'm your mother. And not literally, but she mothered me.
Yeah.
Gave me the nurturing that I needed, that I wanted, that held me, that really held me. And she said, and I'm still here. And she said, she's your tormented sister. And then when I looked at my mother, like the way I look at my sisters or someone who I love like a sister who's been tormented or wounded or hurt, I had empathy for them, compassion for them. I never had that for my mother.
Yeah.
And when I saw her as a girl, right, just like a sister, all this compassion just opened up and came out. Thought, I didn't have any more expectations of her to be my mother, right? I could just love her and accept her for who she was. Like assigning roles, reassigning roles.
Reassigning,
right?
yeah.
Reassigning that role of mother. But she was just a girl. She was 16.
Yeah.
And she had also been abused by her father for many, many years. And she really was doing the best she could.
Yeah. Yeah.
She really was.
Well, and your healing has, like you said, it's generational healing. So the work that you have done was for her too, and your children and future generations as well. So it's very powerful.
And all this healing work that you've done, and let's circle back around as we come to the end of this. The idea of reaching a place through all the trials, all the tribulations, all the healing work that you've done, reaching a point where you have more contentedness. And you also found love. In fact, Kate, right before we got on, she's like, look at this man who she's with. Look how gorgeous he is, right? So can we come around to sort of where you're at now, and then also sort of the services that you're now providing because of all that you've been through, all of the inner work, all of the therapy, all, tell us about, where you've landed.
Oh my gosh. When I finally got to that place of loving myself fully, I was able to love and allow myself to be loved in ways that I could never have imagined ever, because of all the pain that covered it all up, right? Covered up all the layers, all those layers covered up who I truly was. And when I finally started doing the healing and the work, all those layers started to fall off, right? To reveal me, like the real me. And then I was open to love. I was open to compassion and empathy and all of those things, and no expectation, right? No expectation of love or having someone fill me up. Right?
You were enough. You were enough.
Complete me, right? That old Hollywood, saying that kind of ruined it for everybody, looking for someone to complete me. When I felt complete, when I was whole, and I dated someone who was also whole, we complemented one another. My happy met his happy. And then we were happy together. And I was this and he was this, and we kind of did this together, but we didn't overlap. We didn't need each other, right? We enjoyed each other. And my husband is, I just am so in love. I am so in love with this man. He helps me to see myself more every day. He helps me to find the beauty in me. And he's kind and gentle. And I didn't know a love like this could pissed, truly. And I think that it wouldn't had I not done the work, on myself. And he supports me in all the ways that make me strong and stand in my power, stand in my light, and in my purpose. And now at this point, with all of those things that we talked about, all of those pieces, I've finally begun to pull them all together and to make sense of all of them and to put them in a book, a memoir that I've been writing for over 10 years. My first run at it felt heavy and dark and hollow, felt like there was no light in it. Like how could I share this? It was just, like
just pain, all pain, right?
Pain.
all the pain.
Still,
like,
you were still in it.
right. I was still in it. And I thought this offers no hope to anyone. And, after doing all the healing, and then my husband and I traveled for an entire year after we got married. We were nomadic and we traveled all over the world. And when we were in Bali, I had this sense of peace and balance, harmony that I had never experienced before anywhere ever. And I spoke to one of the locals and I told him what I felt. And he said, it's because we honor light and dark. It's both we hold in the same reverence and we honor them. And that's what creates this balance. And for me, it made perfect sense. Like, oh, I don't have to run. I don't have to hide that thing. I can share this. This is why I believe I'm a great life coach. I feel like I share these things with my clients. Like, look, I understand. And they know I've been there. And I can relate in ways that maybe they didn't feel like they were seen or held before. And I realized that through me sharing my pain with them, they feel lighter. They feel supported. They feel like they can also shine. And in a way that matters. How, they asked me, how long did it take you? How long did you, how much time did it hurt? Because this hurts. This is really hard. And yeah, it did hurt. Yeah, I like the word challenge over hard because challenges stretch you and help you to grow. Hard is hard. And maybe you shouldn't be there. But I believe that this life and all of the traumas and all of the sufferings those are challenges to help you to grow, to stretch you, to get to where you need to be, and also to be connected. And so I share now my story to connect with others. And the project that I'm doing now with my memoir is alchemizing pain into beauty. And I'm doing a collaboration with artists and healers in the book, how to alchemize our pain into beauty and bringing it into community, helping others to see that no matter where you come from, no matter the pain you've suffered, that there's hope and there's light, and we can alchemize it and we can use it to even make you stronger and brighter and shinier and sparklier and all of those things, because that's how I feel now.
Yeah. Well, we're going to share with our listeners in our show notes the project and where people can get more information and also work with you if they'd like to connect with you. We do have one final question, Carmen, that we'd love to ask everyone. So our podcast is based on the book Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. Do you know that book? And she likes to say that there are 4 precious doors into the life of the wild woman, the woman who steps back into herself. And so I'd like you to think about what door resonates most for you. If you have a deep scar, that is a door. If you have an old story, that is a door. If you love the sky and the water so much you can almost not bear it, that is a door. And if you yearn for a deeper life, a full life, a sane life, that is a door. So does one of those doors feel most aligned to you?
They all resonate very deeply. But I believe the one that's the most is the sky and the water,
Yeah.
truly. Because I've always known that I was meant for more. We all are.
Yeah.
We all are.
Yeah.
I want to help others to see that too.
Yeah. You are a beautiful soul, and you are. And I felt that the moment we met years ago, and to see you now kind of coming out, stepping into your full potential and light for others is wonderful to see. And I'm so honored that you spent time with us to share.
And we're excited to continue to watch the development of this project and how you continue to serve. So thank you for this conversation today, Carmen.
Thank you for holding such a safe and beautiful space. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us today. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review. Come back and rewild with us again next week.
Safety in numbers, I guess, but